In this video, we'll talk about how to boost your self-confidence and your self-esteem. Do you struggle with imposter syndrome or just maybe feel like your personal dreams are out of reach because you're not good enough, not smart enough, or whatever enough? Well, pay close attention to this because in this video, I'm going to share the secret to growing explosive self-confidence. Hi folks, I'm Chris Solomay, and on this channel, I help people with personal and career development. If you like stuff like that, subscribe. If not, don't. So, what percentage of people struggle with self-confidence? Well, according to Grand Rapids Counseling Services, I've linked their website below, 85% of the world's population are affected by low self-esteem, often referred to as low self-worth or even low self-respect. When individuals have low self-esteem, it can be difficult for them to feel the sense of worth and confidence about who they are. Now, listen to that last sentence, who they are. As you are aware, none of us chooses where we're born, how we come out, it's just a crapshoot. Think about it. We all just showed up here, and through mostly learned behaviors and other people's beliefs that were instilled around us and in us, we've decided not to like ourselves. Well, I think that has to change. You see, I'm making this video because most of my life, I felt right there in the pool of that 85% of the population. And at some points, I even considered suicide just because I didn't like who I was. But all that changed a few short years ago, and looking back, I can trace the phases and sort of steps that happened along the way that got me to the other side of that. Now, I'm not a therapist or a doctor, and definitely not a suicide counselor. This is not medical advice, so if you're having feelings or thoughts of suicide, please reach out to the 988 suicide hotline to speak with a licensed counselor. There's also a link to the Federal Commission of Crisis and Lifeline below. In any case, for those who are just feeling a bit in a rut and want to gain more self-esteem and get some forward progress happening again in your life, these simple steps will help you get back on track in no time. First, I want to share that whether in career or life, we're always cycling through phases. And even though we age chronologically, progress is obviously not a straight line. There are times in your life where it feels like you know less than you used to. Like maybe when you were in your 20s and you knew absolutely everything. But here's a basic breakdown of what I'm talking about. In phase one of anything, whether it's life or a new job or maybe a sport or skill you're trying to learn, you're skill building. And though it seems like the big picture isn't already there, you can get a feeling that you're starting to move in the direction you're heading. Now, there's a lot more to learn when you're here. And oftentimes I meet people that are brand new at a thing and they get super down because they feel like the progress isn't happening as fast as they want possible. They get into a rut, and a lot of times it's just because they don't realize, hey, this is the phase I'm in. I'm in phase one. I'm an infant in this thing. I'm just really skill building. So this is where most people get discouraged and a lot of times quit. You need to realize that you are at the beginning. Next, in phase two, you're starting to gain some traction. So you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. You're starting to know what you didn't know. At phase two, there's also this false sense of security that happens sometime. Like you start to feel really good about something and then you have a setback and this completely freaks you out. Again, maybe it makes you want to quit or stop trying. A lot of times here, you can start to see the beginnings of a rut, judging what you don't like or maybe what you do like without really still having the full picture. This phase is very important to double down in skill building. So again, if you're struggling with confidence in a thing that you're newer at, or maybe you've been doing for a while, you feel like you should be further along, my advice is double down in the skill building part. Are you really mastering the thing? Are you really as far along as you think you are? Because it's these early habits that you'll create that'll give you the turbocharge in the long run and push you into phase three. Now, phase three is the feel-good phase. This is where you're finally catching the flow. That's what I call it. In flow. And in this phase, if it's career we're talking about, it should feel fun because you're really prospering now. Now in phase three, there is no clear and present danger. However, the tendency here can sometimes be to believe that you already know everything there is to know and there's not much room to grow. But this is way untrue, and I've seen many an inspired professional fall straight into a rut once they've been in phase 3, in flow for a while. Because again, they feel like they're a superstar, they have nowhere to grow, so where do I go from here? Well, hence phase 4, and that's what I call wondering what's next. And in this phase, it's where you start to feel some slight discomfort. How long do I have to do this thing for? Do I have to, when I was a hairstylist, it was like, do I have to keep doing hair until I'm 100? When's my next step? Where do I go from here? You might hear yourself saying things like, those new people, they have no idea what they're doing. Everything repeats. But here's what I can share after being in one industry for over 30 years. At certain points in every career journey, in every physical journey, in every mental journey, there comes a reset. And most of the time, it's the very experienced professionals who never see it coming. The 4 phases I just described happen in all areas of your life. Now, I'm using professional life as an example just because it's easy. It's a low-hanging fruit. But the reality is, this could be a stagnant relationship, your health and fitness, which a lot of times it is. It could be your personal life, your personal development, your relationship life. All of these things go through these phases. So how do you ensure that when you start to fall into a rut, you're able to get out of it as fast as possible? Well, you have to identify where you're at. What phase are you currently in? Is this a new circumstance or something you've been at for a while? So are you telling yourself the truth about where you are? Meaning, have you stopped trying because you feel it would be impossible to make a change? Does the road to progress look too long for you? Well, I've got news for you. The only thing you have in front of you is time. Look, you're here. You can either get moving or start falling backwards. The choice is yours. Where do you really want to be? What direction do you want to be heading in? You don't have to see the whole path in front of you, but you can start to look in that direction. For instance, the first channel I built was for a group of salons. And at the time, I had no video editing skills or no video skills whatsoever. So I picked up a phone and started shooting. Most of the time, that came with crappy video and no reward. But over time, the work got better and that channel grew. 6 years later, I have a small video production company that's becoming profitable, and I'm excited about what's next. You've got to decide what direction you want to go first. So look, what's one small thing that you can do today to move yourself in the right direction? It could be watching a video or making a list or reaching out to a mentor or a friend for some insight. It sometimes sucks to hear, but progress really happens with small wins over time. What's that saying? God will move mountains for you, but you better bring a shovel. Hey guys, so before we go to the final steps that'll help you rebuild your self-esteem, I want to know, do you struggle with self-confidence? Do you struggle with self-esteem? When you do, what do you do to get on track? And how am I doing? Are my steps things that you do as well? What would you add to this list? I'd love to hear in comments below. Now let's get back to the video. And the last steps are kind of a 2-in-1. See, you have to take consistent action towards the thing and evaluate your progress on a regular basis. Now, because of the length of this video, I'll go deeper into that in other videos, but you must learn to evaluate and adapt accordingly. Without consistent action, nothing changes. A mentor of mine once said, self-esteem is built from making agreements with yourself and keeping them. And in my life, I have found that to be absolutely true. In fact, I think that's the best secret to build self-confidence and self-esteem, because you learn to trust yourself to follow through on things that you start. So let me say it again. The secret to building self-esteem is keeping important agreements that you make with yourself. In the process, you begin to trust yourself and you become trustworthy. This one simple strategy will take somebody from feeling like an imposter to becoming somebody who takes full responsibility for their life. And when you can do that, you're no longer a person that feels like hiding behind a glass wall. Finally, over time, you continue to evaluate and adjust. So there you have it, my hacks for boosting self-confidence and self-esteem. By the way, I love making videos that are focused on helping you grow as a person and a professional. If this video helped you, please type helpful in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video when I post on Fridays. See you in the next one.